Hello viewer and welcome to Diaspora Fusion. We are talking about diversity, and the first thing that comes into mind when we are talking about diversity is race and gender, but there is more. Today we're looking into food, culture and also language. But first, what is diversity? Diversity means understanding that each individual is unique and recognizing our individual differences. It is the existence of variations of different characteristics in a group of people. These characteristics could be everything that makes us unique, such as our cognitive skills and personality traits, along with the things that shape our identity. They could be race, age, gender, religion, cultural background, socio-economic status, political beliefs, or other ideologies. It is the exploration of these differences in a safe, positive, and nurturing environment. It is about understanding each other and moving beyond simple tolerance to embracing and celebrating the rich dimensions of diversity contained within each individual. Diversity, therefore, includes knowing how to relate to those qualities and conditions that are different from our own and outside the groups to which we belong, yet are present in other individuals and groups. To better understand and define diversity, we can think about it in a social context. For example, at work, you might interact with co-workers of different genders, age groups, faiths, and so on. Likewise, at school, students may come from different socio-economic classes and have different personalities and physical abilities. There are approximately 7,000 languages believed to be spoken around the world. Despite this diversity, the majority of the world's population speaks only a fraction of these languages. The three largest language groups, Mandarin, Spanish, and English, are spoken by more than 1.5 billion people. Other estimates state that 2/3 of the world's population share only 12 languages. But it is the diversity of the languages spoken by the few that makes language a remarkable cultural phenomenon. Joining us to talk about diversity in this program is Doreen Gina, James Ogechi, and Janet Kirisu. You can be part of this conversation by sending your SMS to 20374, or you can join us or visit our social media handles, which is Look Up TV on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube.
My name is Doreen, and I live in Virginia. And I came here 15 years ago. So yeah, it's been a lot of growing, a lot of transitioning, a lot of learning, and all that stuff. So the first question was, what are the advantages and disadvantages of diversity? So I'll say advantages more outweigh the disadvantages. So the disadvantages are more because of just learning how to live with them. So mainly, like, America is very, very diverse. Like, they have people from every country. Like coming here, because so the American English is basically just regular English. It's just they pronounce things different. So when I first came in, because I'm not used to hearing that accent, so there's always like Spanish speaking people, Russian speaking people, German speaking people, so they all like sounded the same to me. So at first it's like, oh my goodness, why do they all look different but they speak the same language? Come to learn, they're not speaking the same language, they're speaking different languages. So it's very diverse. So the advantages is that you get to interact with different people from different community and sharing your story and sharing their story. So it's just like a very good way of growing as a person. Like, you become diverse yourself. And transitioning from Kenyan to American lifestyle, that part I would say was difficult because I came when I was in high school, which means I had to join high school here. And that was hard. So I came from Kenya from an all-girl boarding school, and I was in Form 4 actually. So when I came here, I had to join Form 4 here. So there was that. So umetoka Kenya, nyinyi ni wa Form 4 fourth formers, alafu umekuja wewe ni kama mono sasa. So kulikuwa na hiyo. So that was difficult because then I had to hang out with like the newbies because, you know, Form 4 zan wenye wamekaa hiyo shule, they know everything and all that stuff. So and then there was like a little bullying here and there because my hair was short, first of all, because coming from Nyabururu, we cut our hair. Coming here, every girl's hair is braided. So nowadays everybody's cutting their hair, but at the time everybody's hair was braided, either straightened, ikona palm, and my hair was this small. So there was that. So getting used to just a different environment in high school, different teachers, they all speak just English and American English, so there was that. And then also, like, the school systems here is different. I would say the school was really easy, really, really easy. Kenya school is hard. Oh my god. Nilingia form 4 and I'm like, hii ndio vitu form 4 wanafanya. So there was that. The school was easy. Hard part was understanding the teachers and also understanding the homeworks. Homeworks zao zinakwanga like literally just, and then every day you have homework when you go home, which you're supposed to do the night you go home and then bring it the following day. So I never had that problem, doing homework, because like, coming from Kenyan 844 system, difficult, and then coming here, their system is easy, like I'll say high school. So that adjusting to all that was kind of challenging, but I had a very good family support. My dad talked to a few people that he knew had kids my age who had been here a while, so I ended up interacting with them, and then they just showed me a few things here and there, how to say things, what not to do in school so you don't get in trouble, or what not to say in public because it's not considered nice. So there was that helped.
Due to globalization, people move from one country to another nowadays, maybe to start a new life, for education, to visit. And sometimes when you get to a new place and you decide to settle. So it depends on a number of things, depending on how you like the place, what attracts you, and if the place matches your dreams and aspirations. So when you start a new life in a new place, comes with it some culture shocks or some differences in culture that you need to get used to, and sometimes you find yourself so much deeply immersed in that culture and it becomes part of you. So culture, I can say, is the characteristic or the knowledge of a particular group of people, and this can be explained through language. You can explain this through religion. You can explain culture through the cuisine, the social habits, the music, and the arts. Okay, so it's something that I can say is a broad thing that I might not be able to talk more into detail of what I've been able to see over the years I've been in the Americas, because this culture that I've been exposed to encompasses religion, the food, what we wear, how we wear it, our language, marriages, music, what we think is right or wrong, how we sit at the table, how we eat at the table, how we greet people, and even how, or the words that we use with other people. Okay, so there's so many things that encompass the culture, but I want to go briefly some of the few things that I've been able to see around here, and that I think are more different from what we used to back home. Growing up, I knew the Western culture that I used to watch on TV. For sure, it's not that Western culture. I usually tell people that the Western culture we watch on TV in Kenya is not the Western culture. Myself, I live in one of the rural areas in the Americas, and this community is very conservative. In most cases, if it's the term in comparison with what was perceived to be the Western culture, I can say that this community is more conservative than even my village back home. So it will depend on the perspective on how you look at it. But sometimes what you get to experience is different from what we watch on TV. So I can start by talking about some of the things like the food. The food obviously is different from what we used to in Kenya. But the US is one of those countries that is more diverse, where you can find food from Africa, you can get food from the Latin America, you can get food from Asia, you can get food from Europe, wherever. So you have all the varieties, but sometimes getting some specific types of food that we're used to back home is difficult. So going to the grocery store to look for managu, going to the grocery store to look for saga. Of course, you may find a Kenyan community where they plant those veggies, but you're not able to find them in the grocery store. We're used to Mahindi choma, which you can't find around here. So that defines the kind of culture we find ourselves in terms of the food. How we greet people is different from what we're accustomed to in Kenya. That we use handshake, say for the COVID era. Here, when someone smiles, that's a sign of saying hi. You use handshake as a formal acknowledgement, especially for business reasons and acknowledging someone. So a handshake within this culture is more deep than just saying hi. In Kenya, we use handshake for almost everything. But here, the handshake is more deep, and it creates that personal relationship. But otherwise,
And then about language culture, so I would say mimi bado naongea Kiswahili naongea, niko na Wakenya wengi, marafiki wa Kenya wengi, so tunaongeanga Kiswahili all the time. So I have not lost that, and in my house we speak Kiekegusi. That's all we talk in the house. I have not forgotten that, even if 15 years later and I still speak it. So I didn't really lose that, and I didn't have to learn another language. Like in high school, going to college here, you have to have a secondary language other than English. So kitu hapo ndio Kiswahili lilisaidia. So when my dad took me to high school, akawaambia, she's been doing Swahili since like Form 1 mpaka Form 4. So they took that as a second language. So I didn't have to learn Spanish, because to them it's usually Spanish or French. And then so I didn't have to learn any other language, and I thank God that Kenya we speak English. So when you come here, you already speak English. It's not like when like some of the African countries where they come here, wakiwa nyumbani kwao, they speak French. So coming here, they have to relearn like a new language completely, because they don't speak English in their country. So Kenyans, we are advantaged in that part, because then coming here, you already speak English. It's just the accent is different. So it's just like learning how they say things and how they pronounce them. So that's what we learn when you come here. And we do have, like, I grew up in Raleigh, North Carolina. There's a lot of Kenyan community there. There's a lot a bigger Kenyan community. We have a Kenyan church. It's like 90% Kisii. So of course you're always speaking Swahili to someone or Kisii to someone, so that that has not stopped.
In most cases, when we look at culture, we see that is a learning process, and language itself can be part of that culture. So our culture mostly is informed by the environment, the socialization, and as I said earlier, the learning process. Sometimes you get to a place where there is a language barrier, and it will force one to start learning the language if you want to change your accent and at least fit into that culture. Sometimes you might be lucky to meet fellow Kenyans, and sometimes you might not be lucky to meet the Kenyans, or the lifestyle and the culture of the people might be not in line to what you are used back to in Kenya.
Talking about food, man, chakula ni. So food, coming here, that was the biggest challenge, and it really made me miss home a lot, because the food here tastes different, and then everything is so salty or too sweet. So it's either too salty or too sweet.
Another thing that involves this culture is the type of food, and the food that you are able to find in the local restaurants, or even the food that you are able to buy in the grocery store and cook for yourself. So those are some of the things that you find are different from what you are used to back home. Another aspect of the culture is what we call the fashion, or something. When we are in Kenya, we always know the Western culture, things that we're used to watching TV. Personally, what I used to think about the Western culture and what I used to watch in TV is not actually what is the Western culture. Depending where you are, like in one of the rural areas in the US, that kind of Western culture that I used to watch in TV is not the kind of Western culture that I'm used to in this part of the world. Some of the things I used to watch were extreme. I know I live in a community which is so much conservative and not exactly what I used to watch in TV. The same thing, if you go to the Western world, what they watch in TV and what is in their mind about Africa or Kenya is not exactly the same thing that they see when they get to some of those countries in Africa. So what is portrayed in the media is not exactly what is happening in these countries. So one of the challenges, or one of the issues, or one of the main aspects of the difference in culture, as simply put it, and what informs the Western culture is a difference in socialization. I can say the first thing, like the handshake. In Kenya, we used to use handshakes as a form of greeting someone. When you go to places like in the US, handshake is more formal, and it's mostly used in business deals, business transactions. It's a formal handshake. Someone in the US, when they smile, they have said hi. So that's a difference in culture that someone gets to accustomed to. Okay. In Kenya, for example, it's more communal. kind of lifestyle. When we get to the US, it's a more individualistic lifestyle. By that, I mean in Kenya, we are more communal. We have the community, the sense of community. Whereas when you get to the US, that communal aspect is not there. You get the US is an individual and an individual. So you will not find that communal spirit in the US. That informs the kind of culture that we adopt when we get here. So sometimes you find even Kenyans adopting the same culture, living in an individualistic life, and you might not be able even to interact with the fellow Kenyans. But at times you get excited to learn that you have a fellow Kenyan nearby. But that is not the same case for everyone. There are those who adapt quickly to the culture and get immersed into the individualistic lifestyle, and they fit into that culture. And in terms of the adoption of other cultures in the US, I can say that it's getting more diverse, especially in terms of delicacies and the food. It's only in the US that you will be able to find an African restaurant. You will be able to find an Asian restaurant. You'll be able to find an Indian restaurant. You'll be able to find a Caribbean restaurant because of the vast nature. So you see, the kind of culture that has been adopted mostly here is to do with the foods. But in terms of fashion and the socialization part has not much got into the US, but it's slowly getting into this part of the world, especially when you look at people coming from the Latin America. They are more communist. And when they get to the US, they don't live the communal type of socialization. So when we walk around and see those kind of people, they still carry with them the communal aspect, and they always live as a community the same way we do back in Kenya. That's different from people I've seen for us coming from Africa. We mostly tend to live that communal kind of social life that we have when we get to other countries and other world. But that's my opinion. But that's what I've seen over the years, and that's my opinion. People might have different opinions regarding the same, but I've seen that we tend to get immersed into this culture, and we get into more individualistic type of lifestyle.
We are learning how unique human beings are through backgrounds and life experiences. We are taking a short break on Diaspora Fusion. We'll be right back after this short break. Don't go too far. Do you know how diverse your country is? Welcome back to this program where we're talking about diversity, and be joining us on this program by sending your SMS to 20374 and visit our social media handles.
First of all, when I meet people here and I tell them that I come from Kenya, they look at you like, wow, you come from heaven. Wow, you are Kenyan. Wow, you know? So, and this is one thing that got me thinking. We are blessed as a country. We are blessed to have such a beautiful place. I remember Martha Karua once said that she doesn't need to travel outside the country because Kenya is heaven. And indeed, my fellow citizens, we have a home that is heaven, and we need to be proud of it and maintain it. Some of them, of course, they ask, are you pro Raila? Are you pro Ruto? Are you pro Uhuru? Some call me Janet Uhuru because I come from Kenya and the president is Uhuru. But what mainly I tell them is I'm Kenyan and we don't do tribalism. So I'm Kenyan and all those are my leaders. Yes, but Kenya is identified as a country that has developed, and the most privileged in this society dwell in Nairobi, and they love the place. They call it London. So we are blessed. In terms of fashion, I really not want to talk about it much. Yes, I have not yet explored enough to understand their fashion. I have not yet explored enough to try and do some clothes shopping here and there. I have not tried, but of course we still have the African vitenges, the African lesos, and those are the most worn here by women, and they love putting on long dresses, and dressing to them is dressing in long dresses, long skirts, and to appear decent. But I've not seen a lot of top-notch fashion. Yes, not yet. So in terms of also maybe hairstyle, hairdos here and there, I haven't visited any salon, but I went to the barbers and they did my hair, but it's not bad as much as it's not bad. So I haven't exploited more in terms of looking into the fashion as such. I've not gone for pedicure or manicure, so I'm still green over here. Yes. Another important issue maybe to touch on and to send salam to my country people. It's amazing the kind of system and leadership that we have. It's amazing the kind of discipline that we have. It's amazing the kind of social life that we have. And what I know is that as a Kenyan out here, I'm here to represent not only myself and my family or my interests, but I'm also here to represent the interests of my country. And most of all is to share love and to teach and to influence people in terms of hospitality, to influence people in terms of how to make others feel at home, how to make each other feel happy about each other. So I'm sending my shout outs to my country people. Yes, and I am blessed. I'm a blessed Kenyan. That's what I know, and that's what I'm doing over here, spreading the blessings and the love. Thank you so much, Jupiter, for having me, and may God bless you all. Bye-bye.
Wow, what are Kenyans known for in other countries or other cultures? Moja nitasema ni kukimbia. We're really known for that. So like everybody atajua, like if you're Kenyan, you run. Like, and also like in college, everybody knows you. Anakuuliza, so what sports do you do? You're like, none. I'm that Kenya. Mi ni yule msee. Mi ni yule msee mwenye akimbiangi. So yeah, we're really known for that. Like, you know, being runners, and yeah, that's one of the biggest one. And another one is like just we're very courtesy, you know. Most people will say, oh, Kenyans are really nice. So there's always that. Like I think like other Kenyans will be like, oh, that's a nice vinini. But honestly, like most people that I've met, they always tell me like, I can know you're Kenyan because you're very polite and you're very nice to people. So there's that too. And then another question was, what other African cultures have you embraced or are being embraced in this country? I feel like a lot of people now are wearing dashikis. I don't know where they originated from, in what country in Africa, but I will say that's one thing that you will see a lot of people wearing. Here I own like 6 of them. Sometimes I wear them to work. And also this, like
I love this. Like, I love these braces. They just remind me who I am, where I'm from. It makes me appreciate Kenya more and more. And also, like, Kenya is in my heart. Like, regardless on how long I stay in this country, like, I'll always belong to Kenya. So daima, mimi ni Mkenya daima. I think those are the two last ones, and shout out to you, Look Up TV, and I really hope you get to reach out to a lot of more people. And if you have any questions, just hit me up, and I will gladly answer them. All right, thank you, and bye bye. Kenyan daima, Kenyan in the US, Kenyan everywhere. And there's actually a group here, Kenyan women in the US, that they help each other out a lot. Like, I ran into the group maybe 2 or 3 years ago, actually no, 4 or 5 years ago, and I have seen a lot of help, that they're creating bridges for people, creating stepstones for people who are struggling, single mothers, people who are struggling with domestic abuse. So that's another page that I'll say, if you guys find somebody who's one of the owners of that group and actually get to interview them, you probably had that group, like Kenyan Women in the US. It's one of those thing that I would say, like, a lot of Kenyans have benefited from, and I'm really happy being part of the group. I try to assist as much as I can, or whenever I can. So yeah, that's a good thing that we have as Kenyans, that we always run into if you have any problem, or if you need any advice, or if you need any profession, like from the Kenyan field, or if I need a lawyer, you can write on the page, nani ni lawyer hapa, we need your insight on something, or nani ni daktari hapa, we need your insight on something. So that's a good diaspora thing that one of the ladies created, and I feel like it has really helped a lot of people. Anyway, sasa
I would like to say hi to all my friends in Kenya, and send my greetings to my family wherever they are, my brothers and my mom. I say hello to you, and hopefully I'll be able to see you soon.
That is it from Diaspora Fusion on Look Up TV. Remember to sanitize, keep social distance, and wash your hands. It is a collective responsibility to fight COVID-19. Stay safe. My name is Jupiter Maka. Goodbye.